So yeah, and I know that you had kind of a lot of points to go on. So yeah, really what we're going to be talking about today is the rise in inflation and what businesses can do to survive that. So some tips and tricks for them. It'd be really great if you've got any examples of what, as well, of any kind of clients that you've worked with. So the first thing that I think you mentioned when we were speaking via email was, around raising prices. Obviously, that might offset to businesses any loss they're making, or increase kind of overheads on energy bills, on the price of buying in their raw materials. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about kind of reviewing prices? I know that you spoke about reviewing the brand and kind of what the products are themselves as well.
Yeah. I mean, the increase in the prices is probably the most obvious, probably the easiest one to put in, just do without having to do a lot of kind of groundwork and things in. But it's one that needs to be done without upsetting the customers. That's the key point in it. That's your end clients. That's the people that you want to keep close to carry on with you in business, and they're probably quite sensitive to any price increases. But what I would say, now's probably the time to do it if you are going to increase prices. That with the inflation rates going as they are, you need to do it now rather than 12 months' time or beyond that. Inflation is expected to increase at a rate springtime around 8%, and it could go even higher by the end of the year. So everybody is increasing their prices at the minute. You have got an opportunity at this minute to raise prices without kind of raising the same eyebrows as you would have at other times. You can clearly attribute a raise in prices to the raise in cost of living, the raise in inflation in general, the increased energy costs, etc., this time. The other side of that coin, if you don't raise the prices, then if you don't do anything, then your margins will shrink, your profits will drop, and you might be in this place in a year's time where you need to raise your prices because of necessity at that point. And that will be a lot harder to do, because by that point, hopefully, inflation will have evened out a bit, if everything kind of goes to plan. And you will look kind of the oddity at that point. You will be the one person that's late to the market increasing your prices. And with increase in increase in interest rates, etc., that are happening as a result of inflation, the cost of borrowing goes up. So you could get yourself in a bit of financial difficulty if you don't act now. So I would say if you're increasing prices, then the key would be to react quickly on it, rather than leaving.
Yeah, before it's too late, definitely. So how would you recommend that businesses make a decision on how much to increase their prices by? Because as you say, inflation is increasing. We don't know when it's going to stop. So, you're saying to be ahead of the curve and increase your prices now. So in the same breath, you want them to be ahead of the curve and make sure that they're increasing their prices enough to still make money as that increases. So do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, the key is to get all the relevant data to work out what those price increases should be. Systems and processes in place, such as Unleashed, will help you attribute your costs to your products and see your margins per product. And then, you can review that on a product by product basis on what needs to be increased and where. Difficulties there lie in, overheads are increasing at the same time. And, a lot of people, their methods of attributing overhead costs, it's what we call in accounts kind of the peanut butter approach. So you dollop the peanut butter on the bread and then you spread it out so that it just covers everything. So it's just kind of, the costs are just spread out, but that can kind of give you a little bit of a unrealistic view of the margins. So yeah, as much data and research that you can put into this, get the correct systems in place. Without that, you're going in blind, and you're just trying to figure out if thin air. Inflation's at 8%, so we'll just put our prices up 8%. I dare say that will be a tactic used by a lot of people. But yeah, if you can do a little bit more research into this and a little bit more working out the detail, then it will help you communicate that to clients a little bit better as well. You can give them a little bit more of a breakdown. Full transparency is good. You want to, probably get on it, but communication is going to be key in this. You want to tell clients why the price is increasing, or your customers why the prices are increasing. Because it's not recommended to try and sneak it through.
Yeah, of course. I think it'll be easier for kind of B2B businesses because there's kind of a shared empathy there. They're all going through the same thing. So they're going to kind of understand why maybe their supplier, being another business, is increasing their prices. But what I was thinking about is if you're a B2C business, so someone like me and you buying, say, coffee, for example, my coffee roasters, they've increased their prices. My nail shop have increased their prices. And for a lot of people, being the customers, our overheads have gone up, our energy bills, our car insurance, all of that, and we're not seeing salaries increasing as much in line with that. So as customers, our money isn't stretching quite as far. So how would you kind of recommend that a business will communicate directly to customers as opposed to kind of business clients, kind of communicate the reasons for those price increases? And are there any ways that they can make it less of a hit to the customers? So for example, the salon that I get my nails at, I've just had an email that they're increasing their prices, but they're introducing kind of loyalty schemes and things like that to keep the customer and make sure there is a way to kind of save the money back in the long run. Are there any other activities that you think these businesses could do?
Yeah, I mean, there's as you say, there's different ways of doing it. The communication is the key in it. So you want to, when you're dealing with customers, the end consumer, deal on a human level. So you want to explain to them that you are equally a business that is impacted by such costs, and you pay your employees. You need to pay them things, minimum wage, national living wage. You need to keep on top of these things. I would suggest pushing the brand out a little bit more, and the fact that your products are the best available. One of the reasons of the inflation is because of the costs of the market moving towards a more carbon neutral economy. Greenflation, I think they call it. So if your products are already at that point, then shout about it. Tell people that you are carbon neutral, you are all locally sourced, you are whatever it might be that sets you aside from your competitors. Tell people about it. Put posters up in and around your shop. Put it all out there on your social media. Be proud of your products. The nail salon that you go to, what makes them different nails than their competitors? What are the USPs for that product? I'm afraid I don't know enough about the nail market to make suggestions there. But other kind of comparisons. If you go into that coffee shop, you might be offering lunch or snacks along with that coffee. You could package that up as kind of a meal deal at lunchtime. Equally, you could go the other way and disaggregate some of your products. If you have got all these bunched up at the minute, and you separate them out because there is supply chain issues with one specific product, and that you can kind of cut that one adrift and focus on your other products that maybe have not been impacted by inflation or other cost increase at the minute. And with that, there is a lower price point for the customer, which makes it more attractive. So yeah, it's another alternative.
Yeah, so I guess that really comes down to changing the way that you communicate, not just the price increases, but the value of the products, as you say, with the USPs, with meal deals, loyalty schemes, and even talking about net zero. Mm-hmm. I was at yesterday. Actually, I was with I don't know if you've heard of a company called Make UK. They're a manufacturing organisation, so an organisation to help manufacturers with kind of getting apprentices, market research. They share a lot of reports on the industry as a whole. They had a business come in and do a talk yesterday about net zero. Obviously I think it's by 2050, the government wants everyone to be carbon neutral. So they were talking about the kind of work that they were doing. See, their suppliers are businesses, they're a business, so their suppliers are providing B2B services, and they're making it mandatory for their suppliers to have a net zero plan in place. So there's definitely a bit of pressure on businesses to do work there. But I do think with inflation, there's probably a lack of investment in a lot of businesses at the moment, and they do want to start investing in net zero. One, obviously, is going to get them where they need to go a lot quicker. It's a very long-term process. It's going to take several stages, but yeah, I do think that will make them more attractive to customers as well. I think one of the things that was mentioned, it was really, really cool. Actually, we had Andrew Neil do a speech. He's from the BBC, he's a journalist and broadcaster, and we're talking about the fact that over 50% of manufacturers have over 50 suppliers. So it is a big job, but I definitely think it's worthwhile looking into the suppliers that they currently have, because they're going to be increasing their prices as well, looking at kind of what value they're getting from them, and if their kind of goals and values align with theirs as well. If they are wanting to provide more value to customers by doing some of the things that you've mentioned, having a higher value product, but also aligning with their kind of net zero strategy. So this company that was talking about their strategy yesterday, they have a 2-year plan, and they created a website where they share with all of their suppliers what work they're doing to achieve their net zero goals. And they make sure that their suppliers are also doing some of the same work within their own businesses and make it kind of almost the part of the contract. That does make it sound like it's definitely becoming more competitive, but that there is a positive in that, in that it is pushing people to become more sustainable, more carbon friendly. So there's going to be a lot of changes there.
I think consumers are becoming aware of this and looking out for it, and if obviously price is probably the number one issue when you are purchasing something, but if the difference of 50 pence on a cup of coffee is not make or break for a certain individual, then what is make or break? And these other factors are more predominant in 2022 society. So, I dare say the companies that you're talking of and the moves that they're making, they will be shouting about that. They will be, as you say, there is costs involved. So, yeah, if you're incurring these costs, then make sure people are aware of it as well, that you're doing this and why you're doing it as well. We all want to work, I draw on kind of personal experience in here, when we are out there looking for new staff members, when you're interviewing these type of questions from the people you're interviewing, there is a lot more about the type of company that you are and the values that you have, the integrity, etc., the morals, etc., rather than just how much am I going to get at the end of the month. That will always be an important factor, but there are other things as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that was kind of one of my takeaways from the manufacturing conference I went to yesterday, was that there hasn't been a big enough investment in talent, and that one of the biggest issues for at least manufacturers at the moment is not being able to find that talent and being able to make that investment. So yeah, I do know that that is a struggle. So they were talking about rather than kind of getting unpaid apprentices into your business, because the only people that can afford to do that are people that are, I don't know, maybe supported by their parents. They're supported at home, they don't have rent to pay, but instead introducing paid apprenticeships so that they can kind of get that talent in, especially as a lot of manufacturers, retailers, they've all got kind of factories, and a lot of them are moving towards digital systems for that. And although this sounds really stereotypical to say, it is the younger generation that are going to use that really well, and be able to introduce new concepts and ideas into the business. So as well as kind of cutting costs, changing your product, saving money, it's also thinking about where you invest in your money. Are you investing it wisely? Are you getting the most out of that money? Are there particular costs that you're incurring that you could cut back on, that perhaps aren't giving you a return on investment as well? So yeah, I think there's a really good conversation there. So I think that probably covers off the kind of product, brand, and pricing, unless there's anything else you wanted to say around that.
Yeah, just to say that there is the other options as well when we're talking about the brand cost and the additional costs of incurred with shouting about your product. It can, with the technology, the social media and things, be done at a relatively lower cost these days. It just needs to be done in the right way. Although that is said, the value of investing in this and investing in the experts should not be discounted at all. There is very good people out there who will definitely add value to your business and the products. There is another option though, and that you need to review your products, and there may be products that you have that are at a matured stage in their process that you don't need to shout too much about anymore. They're out there. People are familiar with them. People know exactly what they do and how they fit in with their own supply chain. You don't need to. So there is the opportunity to cut back on some costs and some marketing and brand costs there, and you may increase profits that way. It's reviewing all the data and information that you have. And if you can review your full product line, you will see which ones you maybe need to shout a little bit more about that are kind of undervalued in the market at the minute, and the other ones that are maybe kind of over that hill a little bit and just kind of maturing out there. So yeah, you don't quite need to push them just as much.
Yeah. Okay. I think so even prior to pandemic, inflation, something that I've seen in Unleashed that it does really well is margin reporting. So like you say, considering all the information with margin reporting, it would allow you to see what products are making the most money or the least money. So also taking a look at your products, and if there's something there that's costing you a lot to make but making you very little money, or perhaps even putting you in the negative, then maybe you need to rethink those product lines, as well as, like you said earlier, kind of aggregating products or maybe breaking them down. Have you had any experience with customers actually kind of cutting their margin at all?
Sorry, cutting their margin for what?
So by absorbing obviously the increased costs, but maybe not increasing their prices. So I should have said, have you had experience with customers receiving less margin because they've got higher bills, but they don't want to increase their costs? And how, if so, how are they offsetting that? What kind of experience is that? It'd just be interesting to see what would happen or what is happening to customers that aren't increasing their prices. How that's
Sorry, we have had experience of that, and it can depend on your industry. There are certain industries that need to react. Retailers, for example, that have short margins. So if your margin's 1% to 4%, the supermarket margins, they have to react when prices increase. There's others, software companies, for example, that work on higher margins, and they can absorb a bit more of price increases. And it's their attitude to these things and how they react to it. And they may sit back for a few months, let competitors maybe take a different option, and they sit back and hold their prices. And the hope there is that they get a larger share of the market over time. It is a bit of a risk because there is no guarantees on how the market will react. So there is a bit of sitting back and hoping. And in my experience, various success in that as well. There is ones that this has worked for them, and before you know it, they've got decreased margins, but higher top level. That it means that they've got a higher profits overall, and that does work for them, as long as you are still maintaining some margin, and it doesn't quite go to the point that you're loss making. Be honest, there is others that it hasn't worked for them. So it's a bit of a scramble that I mentioned earlier of what you do a year down the line when you might not be in a point where increasing costs or increasing your own prices is such an easy option to take. Through pandemic, there was obviously people did not want to increase their prices. That was a very sensitive subject, and rightly so. It wasn't the time to go out there with, we're increasing our prices right now, when there was so much uncertainty going on at that time. With various success through that over time.
Okay, I've seen especially in kind of the smaller businesses. So I follow a lot of like arts and crafts, kind of cross stitch embroidery little businesses on the likes of Instagram and things like that. And I've bought some of their kind of products and things from Etsy, and I'm seeing from a lot of them lately that that Etsy are increasing their prices to market a product on their website, and I think you pay a percentage on each sale. And I've seen a lot of the businesses that are on there having to increase their prices because of it, and I think there's almost been a boycott because of it as well, because these businesses don't want to increase their prices. But it definitely has to happen. What would you say then are the top industries? I mean, I know everyone's going to be affected by this and needs to make a change, but what would you say are the top industries that need to be changing their prices, upping their prices now, that are going to kind of be affected by inflation the most?
Yeah, retail, obviously, with those margins being so small, they need to react. Manufacturing, it depends how long the supply chain is there, but yeah, there's so many factors to consider. They need to get reviewing the information that's coming into them quite quickly to see what changes need to be made there. I think of others. Those would be the wholesale distribution. The distribution market is it's been seen already. There is quite a bit of price changes in that market just as a result of fuel increases, etc. Those guys need to be changing if they haven't done already. I think those are the main ones.
Yeah, I think fuel increases have overheads, rent, energy, gas bills. And I know you said manufacturing as well. So importing kind of raw materials is a big one. I have noticed as well that a lot of businesses are spending a lot more money on purchasing the materials maybe closer to home because of that supply chain crisis where materials weren't being delivered or products weren't being delivered from abroad, and people didn't have the stock on the shelf to even sell. So I know people are spending extra money to have products that are closer to home, where there's a guarantee on delivery, where there's going to be less likelihood of a shortfall or of a crisis. So those types of businesses that import raw materials, like manufacturers, are definitely incurring perhaps even more costs and inflation than others.
Yeah, I think though to maybe spin that question round, there will be very few industries that are not impacted by inflation. I think it's kind of right across the board. It's all costs are increasing. It's going to be, unfortunately, something that affects all businesses. It's very, very difficult to isolate the ones that will be fine by this, that don't need to increase their prices. I think that's probably the harder question to answer. Definitely.
Okay. So I've just realised we've probably covered off kind of a little bit of everything in that, but I do want to kind of focus in on the third option, which I put on the email, which was cutting costs as a way to survive inflation. So I put as an example reviewing cost of energy, supply chain, and something that I just mentioned there, which is buying materials, equipment, etc., closer to home. Do you have any experience with kind of any of your clients helping them specifically to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's we live at a time where you can, and this goes both ways for you as the business increasing your prices, and when you're looking at your own costs and things. We live where the technology is heightened, the level of information is easily accessible. You can go out and compare prices for pretty much anything now. So with that information quite freely available, then you can go through your prices, and we have done it for our own clients, kind of line by line, the benchmarking information that's available, comparing what you pay as a business for your energy prices compared to the person down the street or the competitor down the street. It's information that's out there that you can find. So reviewing costs is key. It's one that you want to do without impacting customers, without impacting the quality of your products. You don't want to cut corners. So it needs to be done very carefully. But yeah, if it's an energy provider, for example, then it's reviewing the information out there, and it's easier done. Yeah, it's weighing up what your customers might be impacted more on as well. So they may be impacted more by increase in your price, or they might be impacted more by you reducing your costs. So yeah, there might be a reduction in the quality, or if you can perhaps remove some of the unnecessary features or unnecessary bits, components to a product that perhaps do not add value to that product. That can be one way of reviewing things. But as I say, we don't want to impact quite too much and cutting corners, because you'll soon hear about that and your reputation gets damaged, etc., etc. Not being a line that you want to go down.
Definitely, yeah. I think, as you say, cutting costs, not cutting corners. I think you would probably get more backlash from a customer if the quality of the product changes, as opposed to, if the price increase came into effect. Because I think, everyone understands why these prices are increasing. So although customers don't necessarily like it, I think there's, a good mutual understanding there. With energy, I remember, for me personally as a household, I've looked into it before. There's a company called LAM, Look After My Bills, where they kind of compare your energy bills every month and then switch you to cheaper providers if there is one. Are you aware if there's anything similar to that available for kind of businesses, anything that's automated that can help them cut costs, as opposed to necessarily needing to kind of gather all that data themselves and make decisions?
Yeah, there is people out there, there is software out there that can link into your accounting software. So Xero or QuickBooks or any of the big providers, they can bolt on and they can benchmark your costs against others and see where the issues or the high costs might be incurred. And then they can make suggestions of the other providers that might provide a better or cheaper service. The names escape me. I apologise, but yeah, I'm sure we can do a bit of research and find the names of those. It's something that's came to our attention fairly recently, so I've not got great personal experience of using them, but certainly at the minute is something that we as a firm, we want to look at for our client base, and I dare say it will be something that comes more and more predominant over the next year. Yeah,
we'll have to give that one a Google, I think. I think the data is there for cutting costs. I think making sure that it is, a kind of an informed decision when you are deciding to cut a cost. So, as you say, using software that's analysed the data for you, that integrates into your accounting system. I think, as I mentioned earlier, there's things like Unleashed that's going to take you through kind of what kind of products are selling, what's making the least or most margins. It's going to help you cut costs in terms of getting rid of products that are losing you money. Energy products, and what else did we talk about? Cutting costs on supply chain. That's very similar, I guess. So looking at your suppliers, who's costing the most, who's costing the least, and perhaps buying closer to home, choosing suppliers closer to home, because you could potentially save money that would potentially be lost if your products aren't getting to you. Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about what was the stat? 50% of businesses use over 50 suppliers. I mean, that feels quite a bit. So we can start reviewing this, and you can source out the preferred suppliers and the ones that you want to work with for whatever reason. And one of the reasons at this time especially might be the costs associated. And again, this would be reviewing your suppliers in accordance with the products that you offer. So it may be that you have one supplier that is quite significant in their costs, but drilling down into that, they only help with one particular product or one particular area, and it's whether that is a profitable product in a profitable area, or whether that one can perhaps drop out your product offering because it just doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't make financial sense. And again, it comes back to reviewing the kind of the raw data and the information you have, and hopefully systems such as Unleashed would help with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've seen a lot of consolidating those supply chains as well. So it might be that you have 3 products from 3 different suppliers, because each of those suppliers has a better price than the other on that product that they're providing you with. But however, if you choose to buy all 3 from one supplier, you might be able to get a better deal. And then it's analysing, well, how much is the delivery costing from 3 suppliers, whereas it's one delivery from that supplier. So we could be saving costs down that route, as well as kind of many other routes. So
and that comes back to the services that you're offering, the products that you're offering. If you can offer that to your clients, if you can offer to bundle up 3 of your products and sell them rather than one at a time, or conversely, if you normally bundle all these products up at once, but if you can charge maybe surcharges or fees to get one particular product out, then you can do it quicker than anyone else. There is extra cost that you can pass on because of that. That's a premium service. There's different routes of getting this out to the market.
Yeah, good. There's definitely a lot of different ways that they can kind of save money and hopefully counteract that inflation, providing it does stay stable and it doesn't get crazy.
I mean, it can depend on how much businesses are willing to input on the research and development of their products. It can be can you adjust the product design? Can you the materials, the packaging, any of the product features, as we've mentioned before, what can be tweaked within that product to help it get out there, just not quite at that kind of the peak cost as it has been before. Stripping things down a little bit more, looking into the nuts and bolts that make things up, and seeing where the costs can be cut without impacting the quality.
Definitely. I think there's definitely a trick to it, not something to make a quick decision on. Use the information that you have, definitely. Okay, well, I think that's covered off the topic. So I think the 3 tips to surviving inflation is reviewing the product brand and pricing, increasing those prices and cutting costs. What we'll do, we'll get those into their own little videos as well, which will be quite useful. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that we didn't cover, that I've not questioned you on?
Did we cover off the pricing models and things like that? So
you spoke about kind of breaking products down into separate products and also bundling. What you mean?
More like the how you charge your customers. So maybe on like a subscription type model, or other ways of charging, for usage of the product rather than just one kind of bulk price. That might be more attractive to your customers, that type of thing.
We haven't. So let's talk about that. good example of that. I mean, they're definitely not a small, medium business, but Pret and Manger, the coffee and food shop, I know that they, in the last couple of years, recently introduced, I think you paid 25, 30 pound a month. I'm not entirely sure how much it is. And you can have, I believe it's as many free coffees as you like, maybe up to like 5-10 a day, something crazy. Absolutely, they must be losing money on that service alone. But it's the fact that when you go and buy coffee, you're probably going to buy a pastry that's kind of charged at a premium, or a chocolate bar, or a sandwich as well. And that's where they're making their money. So yeah, pricing models, there's different ways to kind of get people to come back and to make something expensive seem like you're actually getting an even better deal than you usually would. So yeah, talk a little bit around kind of your ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to review. There is different pricing models out there. You can see in the market the different opportunities, the different routes that different companies go down. Amazon Prime, for example, being a big one. Again, you pay that monthly cost, and you can pretty much get guaranteed delivery the next day. For a lot of places, and this is a huge benefit to them. And again, it just draws you to purchase from Amazon when you're buying anything. So yes, they may make a loss on that particular area of the business, but oh gosh, it's going to help them so much in the other areas, and just getting you attracted to their products. So yes, subscription-based pricing, that lower monthly cost, if you can break that down, makes things more attractive to your customers or your clients, rather than seeing one big figure up there in the lights, and that can just that initial impact of seeing that can put a lot of people off. So if you can break it down per month, or per mile, or whatever kind of per unit of consumption that could be done for your product, that is, there are opportunities there. Again, with the technology out there and the advances we're having, makes it a little bit more flexible, so you can monitor the usage that people are having on your products. Again, there's car insurance, there's been moves there, and they can monitor how you drive your car, and they can give you a properly tailored price for your car insurance year to year. I dare say, if you're a bad driver, that might increase your cost. They might not be attracted to that, but yeah, for a lot of people that should be attractive, that type of model. So yeah, it is going out there, seeing what your competitors offer, seeing what, and try to think outside the box on the different ways that you can perhaps price your product, rather than the old-fashioned, here's one big price, pay that on an annual basis or on a one-off basis, and that being particularly scary to your customers or clients.
Yeah, that works. I've seen some luxury kind of clothing businesses provide a monthly subscription, which is quite expensive, around 40 kind of £50 a month. And if you pay that amount, then you can get all of their clothing at a discount, like quite a heavy discount, 50%. But I'm sure that where they make the money is people pay that subscription every month and don't necessarily buy anything. And I'm sure that, sorry, real frog in my throat. I'm sure that when people do buy something, they're also still making a margin on that product. So, the customers think that they're getting a really good deal, where actually the clothing company actually just has a guaranteed income every month off of all of these subscriptions, and they're not having to do anything. They're not necessarily having to, send anything out or source products or manufacture anything, which it seems to me a little bit cheeky, but it's a good strategy to do. Do you have any specific customers that you work with that have introduced a subscription model? And if you do, kind of what kind of products were they or services were they providing?
Yeah, I mean, computer software is probably the easy one to tick off. We have got that kind of subscription model for access to a system month to month. Slightly different ones, we've got like hire of equipment, hire of machinery. So it's those kind of work similar to the for cars, the personal contract hires, the PCP deals that you get that are kind of booming in the car industry right now. So rather than a historic HP deal where you buy that equipment over the course of 5 years or whatever it might be, you pay a lesser cost per month according to your usage. And at the end of 5 years, you can still pay a larger kind of a balloon payment, as they call it, or you can give that back, and it's up to the leasing company whether they want to lease that out again or try and sell it on a second-hand market. There's different options there, but it's selling your product according more to usage rather than just selling it outright. And there is the manufacturing, the larger bits of machinery, those kind of industries are moving a lot more down that line. We've got a couple of gymnasiums as well. I mean, they're kind of historically in that that area where you mentioned earlier. They have that reliable income each month, and it's just relying on people using the gym for 3 months and then not using it for the rest of the 12-month term. I think at the minute there has been not at the minute, over the last few years, there's kind of been a drive to the bottom in that market. So there's a lot of more value gyms, if you want to call it that, cheaper gyms basically, that are offering a monthly service. But they're quite clear in what they offer. These tend not to have swimming pools or kind of these things that you might not need. So yeah, we've got a couple of clients in that space. But yeah, it's being flexible in your pricing. And there is a lot more kind of reviewing the different ways you can do that.
Yeah, I've seen actually thinking about it now, subscription pricing I think is becoming more and more common. I see lots of even food and drink companies that might sell maybe different types of gins, for example. You have a subscription and every month they'll send you a couple of bottles of a different flavour of gin every month. I've seen it with coffee. I've even seen it with cheese, which is really weird. Or they'll send you like 3 different cheeses every month and you have this kind of set price. And, I think with that price model as well, it allows you to have, you can have a subscription for a box of cheese at £10 a month, a box of cheese at 20 quid a month. And it allows your customers to choose what suits their budget as well. So you can still keep, a range of different customers. So yeah.
I think an important part of that is that you have got a reliable income stream going forward. That if you get people on a subscription, that on the first of every month or whatever date it happens to be in time, you will have that income dropping into your account. So that can help with business decisions in the future, where to invest your money, how much money you will have to invest, rather than being an off-the-shelf kind of model where it's you don't know how many customers you're going to get in the next month. So having that reliability of the income, even though it will be kind of, rather than selling something at £1,000, you're spreading those payments out over a monthly kind of thing, but reliable that you will have those 10, 20, 100 clients that will pay you each month on a set date and a set amount. And yeah, when you get that kind of model in place, there will be inevitably slight increases, slight decreases, but unless you do something absolutely horrific, it can be relied upon that you will get the majority of that each month. That's another important factor in that.
Definitely. I think with if we're talking about food and drink as well, it's not just the reliability on prices, but also what they're purchasing way ahead of time because they've selected a product. So that especially with fresh food and drink, You know what products and raw materials you need to get in. There's going to be less wastage, which obviously costs the business money. And you've got plenty of time to plan and kind of get that product in, get it delivered. And you know what price you're getting at, you know how much money you're going to be making. So yeah, I think there's definitely going to be more opportunity there for businesses to take on a subscription-based model as well. Even if that's not their core model, that's just kind of a side part of the business, as you say. Just gives you some predictability, doesn't it? A little bit of stability.
Yeah, you see that in restaurants and things as well, you know, cutting down on the extravagant menu because, you know, the costs on the stock that you need to hold on a day-to-day basis to keep all this fresh. Things like tasting menus and basically being the chef's choice of what he cooks, which, you know, it does have a certain appeal to it because you don't know what you're getting, but you know that the chef has specifically picked this out. That's going to be great. But at the same time, when you're thinking about that from a business point of view, exactly as you've just said, they can control the costs a lot more. They know how much of the margin of that particular product is going to be, and they can focus on selling 100 portions of whatever that meal is in the evening, rather than having to spread that out you know, 5 different portions of 20 different meals. Just as you say, wastage and things would be a heck of a lot more.
Yeah. So yeah, I think when looking at ways to battle, you know, the increase in costs associated with inflation, yeah, definitely looking at other costs that have been incurred in the business like this that, you know, they could improve on as well to help counter the increase from other areas. I think that's great. I think we've got a lot of information there. My New Zealand friends are going to hate me because they're going to edit all this.
Yeah, apologies. I don't know if did we jump around a little bit there? It felt like we were kind of going, and that was.
We did a little bit, and to be honest, it's probably my fault because I've not kind of listed out these topics correctly. But that's the beauty in editing. I'm going to have increased pricing as a kind of pretty little screen, and then I'll get them to edit the parts where we talked about that. They can kind of chop and move it into the right place, but. No, I think that's been really useful, and I think we can get some definitely obviously get the video out of that, but I think there's some really good kind of blog content that could be turned into as well. There's some good facts in there, some good pointers, and I think with this kind of content as well, what people are looking for isn't necessarily just the facts and just tips. They're wanting to hear from experts, so people like yourself that work with businesses like this, and they want to hear an opinion as well. So yeah, I think it will be well received. From your end, how's things going with marketing? I know that you were talking about how you communicate to your clients about this new department, what you do. Have you kind of got a date set for that? And was there something you would like to use as part of that?
Yes, absolutely. There is no set date at the minute. We're hoping June. I need to catch up with our marketing people again and see where we're at with things. I need to provide them with a little bit more information. They are, you know, they're doing the whole marketing kind of strategy to this of, you know, exactly as we've been talking about, who's your customers, who's your clients, who do you want to appeal to? Okay, we need to get this type of messaging over the whole client personas and things of who might this attract. Okay, we want to tick this box, that box, etc. So I have got a little bit of information that I'm trying to pull together. My early next week looks quite busy, but I think from around middle of May, my calendar not frees up, but it certainly becomes less, full on. Hectic's a good word. So yeah, I'm wanting to put a bit of focus on it from then, because things were meant to really push out from May. We've probably missed that. Well, not probably, we have missed that deadline. So yeah, I wouldn't want to keep going. You know, I've said it before, I don't want to just keep drifting with this. We really need to give it focus. We try to hire staff and things, and that's been a struggle. So, I think with maternity leave and things at the minute, for our own staff, I think I'm covering about 3 or 4 different jobs at the one time, and I'm not the only one. There is others out there that are trying to kind of spin these plates and still offer our own clients the top quality service, etc., that we expect and things. So yeah, the testing times, but not wanting to drift away from it.
Yeah, you need to keep that momentum going. Is your marketing team, are they based in your office with you? Good. So you've got access to them all the time. All right, so yeah, you can keep that momentum going. That's good at least. Okay, well that definitely gives me time to get this edited and kind of get some good content out of it, which I can share with you.
In terms of sorry to jump in, the segmentation thing, if I can get you something for Monday of next week, would that be okay? I'm out and about tomorrow, which makes it quite difficult. But if I can spend some time on Monday trying to pull things together, that would be okay. Is that okay for yourself?
Yeah, that should be okay. So I'm at Accountex until Thursday, so that would literally only give me Friday to go through it, but that should be fine. If not, we can go through some of it on the day when I come. Yeah. On that point, I don't know if you ever traveled to like England, central England. I can't decide whether to get a train or a plane. Do you have any experience in getting to England on either of those?
Both would work. We kind of toss of a coin. My daughter, she dances and travels down to England most weekends for competitions and things. And yeah, sometimes it's my wife drives down, sometimes they get a train down, and sometimes they get a plane down. It really can depend. I think at the minute the trains are offering quite a few deals, so that might be a factor. But yeah, it's preference sometimes comes into it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the train, it was saying for me, was about 5 hours. And then obviously the plane is only an hour and a half, but you've got, your travel time and you've got to get through security. And at least on a train, you might be able to do some work at the same time. So yeah, I think I'll probably go with the train and get that booked in. I think I'm going to come up on the Monday and then settle in and then come see you guys on the Tuesday.
We're quite near both train station and airport as well. We're kind of, assume if you're getting the train, it would be Glasgow Central, which is within walking distance to us. The Glasgow airport's 5-10 minute journey on a taxi, so it's not too bad. We're quite central. We're near. Well, I'm sure you can Google all this, but we're near the Hydro, the big events thing, which you can see at the window there. Probably not. So see that big kind of bowl-shaped thing there? Yeah. That's the big events arena in Glasgow. That is the crane thing that you'll see in many a picture, probably, of Glasgow.
What is it? Is it just a crane?
It's just a crane. It's so Glasgow's got quite a big shipyards background. That was kind of main industry going back into however many decades now. So that's kind of an old kind of feature from that time and brings everybody back to that time. So
was it for like unloading cargo and things like that? Was it?
Yeah. Basically, that was kind of its purpose. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not functional anymore. Like it's sat in that one position for about 20-something years anyway. Well, as long as I've known it.
Oh, it's history though, isn't it? I remember I went to our offices in Bristol and they have a harbour in Bristol, and I remember walking around and they had a few of those. And even like a really old like warship just kind of on the side of the of the harbour, which is interesting. No, it's cool. I'm hoping I'll get some time to have a little wander around as well and see it, because I've never even been to Scotland, let alone Glasgow. So that'll be good. And you'll have to get thinking somewhere local that you guys like to go for food and drinks for afterwards? Because I you guys can choose, because I don't obviously know the area. So.
Sure. Yeah, there's a nice pizza place just up the hill here. It would be usually quite good. It's quite relaxed, quite informal. Yeah, that would work. It's known as strip joint, but it's not kind of what you would think when you hear that.
All right.
It's like old records and things. It somehow gets the name from that. I don't know. You see it when you go in anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds suspicious.
I know. I kind of got a bit worried the first time because I've been here a couple of years now, and I remember somebody saying, "I'm on. We'll just go up to strip joint for lunch," and I was like,
"For lunch."
I was like, no, thanks. It's not really kind of what I'm happily married, not really interested. But it was like, oh no, it's not like that. It's a pizza place. So it's like, right, okay, I'll kind of walk in tentatively and see what's going on.
Yeah, walking in like this.
Yeah, I was like, what am I walking into? Not really comfortable with. It wasn't that way at all. So yeah, I've been up there a few times.
Sounds good. Okay, I'll trust you on that one then.
Just to make you aware, I don't know if this is relevant, but in the morning of 17th, we've got decks coming in. So we are going through a big change from auto entry to Dext at the minute.
Okay.
So auto entry, we've had quite a number of issues with auto entry. We went with auto entry a number of years ago because I think the feeling was that Dext was always the better product, but auto entry, the pricing model for the pricing model for Dext at the time just never worked for us. It was based on total turnover of the firm, which our total turnover incorporates all things corporate advisory, payroll, things that just are not related. So it worked out at something near 7 or 8 times the price between auto entry and Dext.
Wow.
So we went with auto entry, but what we have found since auto entry got took over by Sage, that Sage and Xero don't really talk to each other. You can blame Sage for that. You can blame Xero for that. I don't really care. I just know that it's just not working. So we went back to the table with Dext, and they've kind of changed their pricing around a little bit. So yeah, we're kind of.
Who have you got coming from Dext?
Lisa, I forget her surname, but I'll just quickly check.
I know Lisa.
I think she's fairly new, maybe in the last 12 months or something. Lisa Walker.
Lisa Walker. Cool. Let's see if I know who that is. Have you heard from Jamie at Fathom? Has he confirmed what time he's coming up, or
he's not confirmed? I'll get in touch with him today. I've had a meeting with Jamie, but yeah, I've not confirmed anything with him. Have you spoke to him? You'd spoke to him before I spoke to him. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you got back to him with confirmed dates or any arrangements there or anything.
Yeah, so he's confirmed the date, and we essentially said that the basically last 30 minutes, an hour will be time for Fathom. I don't know whether he'll be arriving at that time or if he'll kind of arrive with me. So that's all I need to check with him. I don't think it will really make a difference to you guys as such. And then yeah, he can come along in the evening as well. But yeah, he confirmed it'll be him coming. I think he was just waiting because I think there's someone actually based in somewhere in Scotland, maybe even Glasgow, from Fathom. But yeah, it'll be Jamie. But yeah, I'll double check with him and let you know. And yeah, other than that, everything's in motion.
Good. And you guys all ready for Accountex next week? You think it'll be a big week for you guys, or?
So to be honest, I've never been to Accountex, so I don't have much experience with it. But it looks like there's a lot of stands, so hopefully there's a lot of people coming along. And our stand is right next to Xero, and we have Xero branding on our stand as well. So I'm hoping that we can just kind of
fun.
Get in on that. Yeah, it's a bit cheeky, really, but we're in a good position. We've got lots of goodies to give out, like from like customers, like candy kittens and Tenzing drinks, and then we've got kind of a golf hole-in-one game as well. So if you get hole-in-one, then you can get like a box of beer. So yeah, so hopefully it'll be good fun, because obviously it's been a few years since we've had any of those conferences. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it goes. I think we've spoke before. I'm coming down for the Digital Accountancy Show and ZeroCon. I was looking at it and I thought I'll pick 2 out of the 3. ZeroCon's kind of a must, to be honest with you. So it was between Digital Accountancy Show and Accountex, and the Digital Accountancy Show did happen last year, and from the people I spoke to, it seemed to go quite well. It was well received, so I thought, okay, I'll give that a go.
Yeah,
that was kind of the basis in my decision there, but we'll see. How
it's very new, isn't it? So I think it's only going to grow. And Dan Cockerton, who obviously heads that up, is awesome, and he's got all the great contacts. So I think it'll be a good day, that one.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much for this, and I will keep you updated on how the editing's going and share any of that with you. And I'll get on the segmented accounts as soon as I receive that from you, and I've started working on the process map as well for a business as well. So yeah, all in motion. Looking forward to it.
Cool. I'm traveling tomorrow to a manufacturing company that we'll probably use in the kind of the session. They could probably do with a tool such as Unleashed. So I will be discussing that with them tomorrow. They're based in a very small town called Lochgilphead in Scotland. The reason I bring that up is when you go to the Unleashed website, there is one of the testimonials is from a company also based in Lochgilphead. So I can mention that. I have no idea who the other company are, but I can. Do you know them? Is kind of one of the questions I can bring up. I can certainly bring that in. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. See what the
yeah, definitely. What do you mind me asking what the business name is, just so I can do a little bit of research?
It's Midton Acrylics.
Midton, Midton.
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. I'll have a little Google at what they do, and if I've got any points to add, I'll quickly ping you over an email.
They make like specialised like awards and trophies, and I think they make like, what do you call them? Do you call them a graveside, a headstone?
Oh, headstones, yeah. Okay, so do like engraving and stuff like that.
But like they do the awards for like the National Television Awards and all these kind of things. So yeah,
nice.
And they're growing as well.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Let me have a bit of a Google of them, and I'll send some thoughts over on that. And yeah, we can have a good chat about it when I'm there.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thanks very much for that.
No, thanks for your time. Love your thoughts, love your ideas, and yeah, we'll do some justice and get them down into some paper and some videos and get those shared with you.
Great. Thanks, Bethany. I'll speak to you again soon. All right.
Take care. See you soon. Bye.